Good morning, Lufkin Central and Online Worship Community. Jason Hollinger, the campus and community minister here. And so far, throughout this now 4-day series, we have talked about, excuse me, broken to be made whole, mourning to be happy, and empty to be filled. Today, we are talking about authentic to be accepted. And I'd be curious to to know, maybe you can drop it in the chat, what you've learned from the previous three, and how have how has this impacted the way you view things. It could very easily be a thing that it hasn't had a major impact, other than just simply kind of reminding you of things, of how they should be. But today, again, we're talking about authentic to be accepted. And who's the most authentic person that you know? Who's the most, think about that, who's the most authentic person that you know, and how would you describe their character? How would you describe their character? I think that's a big deal with it. And so think about that. We're going to read Matthew chapter 15, and look at verses 17 through 20. And Matthew 15, 17 through 20, a section of chapter of scripture titled Clean and Unclean. And in verse 17, he says, "Don't you see that whatever enters the mouth goes into the stomach and then out of the body? But the things that come out of the mouth come from the heart. And these are what make us, clean or unclean, right? But these are what can make someone unclean. For out of the heart comes evil thoughts, murder, adultery, sexual immorality, theft, false testimony, slander. These are what make someone unclean. But eating with unwashed hands, that does not make them unclean. Because so there's this debate of kind of going back and forth of what makes us clean, what doesn't make us clean, all these kind of things. And Jesus is telling him, it's not the outside, it's not the washing of hands or the washing of feet, all those things to make us unclean. And now, these last 14, 15 months, we've probably thought or focused a lot on what makes us clean or unclean, sanitary. you know that's To be sanitary, that's not what he's talking about. He's talking about being spiritually clean, being right before his Father, being right before God. Check this out from Matthew chapter 5, verse 8. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. Remember, out of the overflow of the heart, the mouth speaks, right? What comes from the mouth is what comes from the heart. And if we fill our heart with impure things, well, guess what's going to pour out? Guess what's going to come out? I remember a few years back, I was watching a Texas Rangers game, and one of the announcers, the TV broadcasters, in the midst of a break, when he didn't know his mic was hot, didn't know his mic was on, he let out a cuss word. And I recognize it immediately, and I know I'm not the only one. Well, a few innings later, then comes the apology. But and bear with me when I say what I love about the apology. Um, he didn't say, "Well, I didn't know my mic was hot. I didn't," he didn't get defensive, or all those kind of things. If I'd have known my mic was hot, I wouldn't have said that. What he said was, "It has come to my attention that when we were not in a break, when my mic was hot, that I said a word I shouldn't have said." And he said, "You know what? I guess that if I'm going to use that word in my vocabulary in other times, I shouldn't be surprised when it pops up in moments that I don't want it to." And so what I love about that, again, he didn't dismiss it, say, oh well, if I would have known everybody could hear me, I wouldn't have said that. You know, sometimes we try to do things and cover things up in such a way that say, well, nobody else saw it. And we can even say, yes, I know God saw it. I know God was aware of it, but this is between God and I. This is between this is between us, and He knows that I'm a work in progress and all those kind of things. But as long as others don't know, you see, we can be so focused on what others might think and be concerned and be worried about what others might think, when in reality, who is it that we should be focused on about what they think, on how they feel? God. And so when we think of this idea, as we close this section out, authentic to be accepted, this challenge that we have is this idea, this understanding to be who we are in public is who we are behind closed doors, and who we are behind closed doors is who we are in public. That we are authentic, and that it's okay to admit weakness and to admit struggles. And don't get me wrong, I understand that, to, yes, your life to be an open book. There are certain things some people can process about our struggles that others can't. I have things that I deal with just like you do, and there's certain people that I confide in. That's not what I'm not saying that we should just air out everything, right? You go to counseling, and you see a counselor. You have things between you and the doctor, and the point is that we do not try to tackle these things alone. We have accountability when we reach out to others, when we let them know what we're going through. You see, when we try to do things and handle them on our own, we're not always successful. Sometimes we are. Hey, sometimes I've seen the whole, pull yourself up by the bootstrap method. I mean, yeah, I mean, I've seen people successful with that. I've had some things in my own life that I'm successful with that. But we also don't hide from things in our past. I freely admit to people about struggles of addiction that I've had. I Some I tell more of the story, and some I don't tell the whole story. But I don't want to hide from it, because it's a part of my past. It's a part of who I have been. It's not a part of who I am now. And so with that comes moments that I have to be intentional about what I allow to my heart, what I allow into my body, into my mind. Same goes for you. That I know you have things that you have to be intentional on, because what comes out of the mouth, the words we say, that's what comes from the heart. So I want to ask you a question today. What are you allowing into your heart? Who are you allowing into your heart? Authentic to be accepted, broken to be whole, mourning to be happy, empty to be filled. This is what it begins when it's the end of us, less of us, and more of Him. Can't wait to hear and see how this goes for y'all. Y'all have a great day. God bless.